How's everybody?
Hanging in there.
Stevens, unless Miss
Are we
Key
ready to go?
I think we're ready.
Okay, we're ready to roll, as they say. So, well, school's back in session this week. Seems kind of early. I'm glad I'm not teaching in this heat, but that's a sign that we do need to get moving and carry on with life as usual. So, life as usual. How about a roll call there, Robin?
All right. Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Hensick. Acting Chair Stevens.
Present.
Secretary Scott.
Present.
Commissioner Hammond.
I am present as well.
Commissioner Roughton. Commissioner Bockert.
Here.
Commissioner Rubis. Alternate Adams. Alternate Quarternick. Commission Liaison Broyles. Council Liaison Neon. Or Nyon, sorry.
I'm here.
And Commission Liaison Jaxie.
I am here.
All right, we have quorum.
Very good. That's always good to have. Lost my agenda. Here we go. Before we get into the action tonight, Joe wants to bring us up to date on some things.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. And I'll start with an apology. At the conclusion of our last meeting, one of our council liaisons made a motion to adjourn and I didn't catch it. And so I'm just wanting to advise everybody of the bylaws. Regular commission members can make motion and take votes on all items. Our liaison from the Planning and Zoning Commission and 2 from City Council are non-voting members. So my apologies. Obviously, the minutes reflect the motion by the council person, and that's fine. Like I say, I don't think it'll create a particular problem, but I just wanted to advise everybody that only the alternates can participate in votes if they are needed to make a quorum. All of our liaisons are non-voting members by the bylaws and the enabling legislation for the commission. So again, with my apologies.
Technically, we're still in session then, I guess.
It's been a long meeting, Mr. Scott.
I didn't see anybody bring me breakfast or anything. Well, you know, we really don't like to categorize and say you're in this category and you're in this category, because we work as if we are one. And that's what's really special about this commission, is that we all work together so well. But we do need to follow the bylaws. Our Roberts would not be happy with us. So that being clarified, we can move on with the agenda, starting with the minutes of the July 13th meeting. So we need to approve these minutes. Any discussion or additions or corrections?
Just for clarity, Joe, your point was for this particular meeting, right, on the 13th, which is the additional meeting?
No, it's not. I think it was the 22nd.
At least the minutes don't show. The minutes show Commissioner Scott on the 22nd, but
Yeah,
Council
but it's on
Liaison
one-
Jaxie on the 13th, unless I'm looking at the
13th.
wrong documents.
Yes, it's the
Good
July
job.
3rd.
Yes. So we're aware of that little mistake there. Is there anything else? Motion?
I move they be approved. I move they be approved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Alan approved and Steve seconded. All those in favor? Yes, or
Aye.
wave your hand, or anyone opposed? Okay, those are approved as noted.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
I was not in attendance on that. If I abstain from that vote, does that cause issues because of our quorum? I didn't hear the response. Sorry.
Mr. Hammond, typically you need a majority vote of those present for the minutes. Any recommendation requires a majority of the entire commission. So you could abstain and we'd still have 3 of the 4 votes.
Okay, just for my clarity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the July 22nd regular meeting, are there any questions or corrections?
I'll motion to accept.
Okay, Chris has moved to accept the minutes as distributed. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, wave your hand, say aye, whatever.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, I think we have that one approved as distributed. Seems like there's another one.
Ms. Stevens, Ms. Keefe was able to complete the summaries or the minutes from our 2 demolitions.
Right. Will we be acting on those items now, or put this off until later for approval of those minutes?
Certainly, we can do it now unless there are alterations that would come out of any discussion. But again, it's just a summary or the minutes from our demolition site inspections that occurred on August 18th.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I finally found them. We had several people in attendance, and you have the summary that Robin has provided for us. Are there any questions on these? Any other comments on them?
Are these to be discussed? We're going to vote on this later, I presume, and discuss it. Is that?
Yes, sir. We'll actually have a discussion on the demolitions, but this is just the summary or minutes of
Right.
us meeting at the 2 properties.
Any other concerns?
No? I think, okay. They can be put, for my money, it could be the minutes. I don't know, do we pass them as minutes or do they have to be written as minutes?
Just
I believe they qualify for minutes relative to the visits.
Yes, we were in attendance as a commission. So shall we do the Manchester Road one first? Are there any other comments on that one? A motion?
I'll move that they be accepted.
Okay, and Jim will second it. All those in favor of approving the Manchester Road minutes, wave your hand, say aye. Okay, then they will stand approved as distributed. Then the one on Lindy Lane. Any questions or concerns of that one?
I move we accept it as well.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Jim will second. Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
We need to vote.
we do. Didn't we vote on that one?
No.
Okay, there's so many, you forget what you've done. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good.
Thank you.
We've been an active group this past month. Kind of nice to have some work to do. Is there any public comment waiting for us?
Ms. Stevens, there is one person as an attendee, but it may be for the item relating to Babler Park Drive. I'm not sure.
That is correct.
Okay. So we wait until then for them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. New business, ready for action. Celebrate Wildwood. We're all waiting to hear all about this. So at our July 22nd meeting, we had a discussion about various things that we could be doing at our 25+1 celebration. And there's a list of 5 activities that were raised last meeting. So let's kind of go through those one at a time. Number one was, how do we want to promote the Wildwood history book? Any comments and questions on that one? We need to know what we need to be doing.
Well, I had mentioned that we could have pre-sales of it and have people, if people would take an order, if we could have a sample, a pre-published sample or something like that there that people could look at and then order. I don't know if that'd be possible. I think my guess, I've been thinking about it since then. I think what we'd be asking for the book, how much, it was pretty high, and I think we were asking too much for it. That I don't think people will buy it. Joe, do you remember what the price was, the cost of printing that book was?
The cost to print the book was $50 because of the limited number that were to be printed. We had discussed only doing 250, and we were going to charge $50 and for the most part, just break even, Mr. Scott.
So my feeling is that I think it's got to be subsidized. I don't think people will buy it. I don't know what the printing in prior years, the printing of those partial books cost, but if, you know, if they could be subsidized to the cost of those books, I think it would help and maybe make it easier to sell them.
Mr.
I agree with Commissioner Scott that the price is high, and I would like us to investigate what options there might be for subsidizing it if there's budget or if it's got to go through council approval. One thing I like the idea of trying to sell them ahead of time, but at the same time, if they're not going to be available or in print for whatever it is, 30, 60, 90 or longer, then I wonder if it might just make sense to collect interest, name and email address, have basic info about what the book is, the last book, if we've still got copies, not to give away, but to show, hey, here's the prior version of the book and we're adding to it. And if you're interested in it, there will be a price and we can figure out what that price is. Worst case, it'll be $50. Best case, it'll be subsidized and you could buy it for less than that. But that way we can collect the information. And then once the book's available or as a book becomes available, we could market that and try to sell it. Now, I think you're going to get far more people that way that may or may not buy in the future. And I think my gut tells me that you get less people paying $50 on site for something they can't see yet. They're not sure on the timing. That being said, I think we're going to sell books. Like, I don't think that's going to be an issue. The city we've got, the books we put out so far, I think people are going to buy, but I would just try to collect info and see if we can sell more later. Cause that maybe if there's 500 people who sign up, then maybe there isn't an option to order more books.
Would it be
Yeah.
possible to have at least one book there as a sample to see?
Mr. Scott, I think we'll do the best we can to try to have at least one or two of them available. They may not be in the final published version,
Right.
more akin to what we've done in the past. And that's the explanation for the cost. As Kathy Arnett, who was working on this for the department noted in one of the presentations we did on how best to publish the book in its final form, the commission decided to do more of a formal book type publication. And that is what caused the price to increase. Previously, all of the versions that we had provided as part of the build-up to the final chapter, they were less of a grade paper. They were on a spiral type of a spiral binding. And for the most part, we were able to get a very good price because we did publish quite a few of them. So again, if that approach for the book to have at the event is acceptable, that's what we'll try to do.
But if it could look like, or at least on the outside, look like the book that they're getting, that it is a book, and they'll think, well, in the past, I've got a spiral bound, and this, I'm paying $50 for a bigger spiral bound one. But if they can look and see, well, hey, this is a real book, and I wouldn't mind it sitting out on my coffee table, even though it's not a coffee table book.
Mr.
Jim?
Scott,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, how, in printing those spiral books, do you remember what the cost of that was last year?
my recollection was they were between $15 and $20 a piece.
So to get 50 books at $50 a piece, that's $12,500. And if you had, if we were, you said like $15 a piece?
Something like that is my recollection, Mr. Rubis.
Yeah, well, if it, you know, so that's $35 for the book, which I think is a reasonable cost if we could get the city to subsidize it by the same amount as we had in previous years, or maybe up it a little bit to get it down to $30 a book. And we had something there to show them, or at least a good facsimile to, explain to them it's going to be a hardbound book. It's going to consist of, all the sections from the previous years, plus this year's, plus the incorporation. And if they're interested, maybe have a place on our website that they could go to kind of, like you do now when somebody comes out with a book, you go online to reserve a copy for yourself. And that way, I think you'd have a pretty good indication of who's willing to buy the book.
Well, certainly we can prepare something on our website, just as you described, Mr. Rubis. I think that can be accomplished, certainly by Department of Planning staff. I would just say, I don't believe we can have a version of the book in less than 30 days, and that's what we have.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect it. If they could just give us a hardbound book that would represent the size and the thickness of that. I mean, that to me, and then if we had some of the previous years or last year's, I don't know if we got any of last year's left over, but a couple of them that they could, kind of peruse through. I think our job would be is to kind of whet their appetite to do something. And that's to go on the website and register to reserve a copy for themselves. It's a limited edition. You can always describe it as a limited edition. And if we could get that price to around $30, I really, I don't think that's too much of a price to pay for a book.
Would there be a way that we could have a flyer available to hand them? Because if you just say, go on the website and sign up,
Yeah,
that's
something
going to go in one ear and out the other. But if we had a flyer describing, the book, and that you can go to the website and sign up to reserve a copy.
Yeah, maybe even just like a postcard size flyer that gives
Right.
information where to go to reserve a copy, how much it is, and the expected delivery date.
Well, given this case work on the time capsule information, I think that's entirely possible.
Mhm. Joe, is there a break off period or number as to the cost of printing the book? How many do we have? Such an, if we order more, does the price go down? Do we have anything like that? Because I think we're going to have to make a decision how many we order stored somewhere.
Well, the commission did make that decision in the past, and it was the 250 copies. And that's what was, that is why the cost is $50 per copy. I can't
Okay.
remember all of the research Kathy Arnett did. The publisher was down in the Chesterfield Valley area, as I recall. So the best I can offer you tonight is I'll try to find that information on Kathy's, in one of Kathy's folders that she created when we were going through this process. And then I'll send you an email with the breakdown.
Okay, thank you.
And everybody bring their book from last year, or bring past books you've got and bring them up.
Might lose it though.
No, write your name on it. Maybe unless they're stolen.
I'm not sure we have copies available anymore. I'll have to look around.
I have a copy.
I do too.
They were very popular, particularly after the event. We kept getting requests, and
Oh.
I think ultimately we may have given out the last of our copies over the course of the year. Well, actually, almost 2 years now.
Things move
Yeah,
a
it has
lot
been
better
2
when they're free.
Yes.
The price was right.
Couldn't get much better than that one. Yes,
So-
Jim.
And, you know, if it's 250 and say it's $50 to order 250, if you order 500, the price goes down to maybe $40. If we see that the response is such, and I would suggest putting it on the website too about the book. I mean, you know, put a commercial on the website, a commercial page that talks about the book. And if you got enough people interested to sell 500 books at $30 a piece, then the second 250 books that we make a little money on, we could give back to the city. But we wouldn't go to above 250 unless we saw that the response was such that it indicated that we could sell 250. I mean, 500, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And as I recall, one of the advantages of the publisher that the commission selected is that they can do an ebook format. And so it can be purchased and read on any type of smartphone, e-reader, etc. I
Yeah,
think that was
Give
part
people
of
a choice. Do you want a hard copy or do you want it as an ebook?
right. And again, I think that was partially the reason we went with 250 copies only. Ms. Stevens, if I could summarize regarding the history book. So the commission will be in the city tent discussing with interested parties the pre-sale of the book. The commission would like the book to be subsidized, so the cost isn't $50 per copy, and we'll see what we can do as I talk with the city council members in the future. The intent would be to have some type of flyer that references pre-sales and that you can reserve a copy now, and that we'll have in the tent that flyer along with copies of last year's book that represents all but the final chapter and then the incorporation discussion. And part of that, we'll make sure that we note that it's a limited edition and they're going to go fast and don't delay.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Joe. Yes, Jim.
One more last thing and I'll get it off. Joe, how many at $20 a piece last year? How many books did we get at the $20 a piece?
I want to say it was about 500.
Okay.
I just want to throw it out there. I was already planning on purchasing one for $50 for my dad.
Sold one book.
Well,
Our first order.
but last year then we would have spent $10,000.
It was something akin to that, yes.
So if the city was willing to give us that same amount again, that would be that comes out to $10 a book for the difference. That would be a difference of $2,500. And if you got 250 books for, that would at $10 would be a break even. So I think if you charge 30, if you go to any place and buy a book, it's going to be $28.95, $30. And this would be a special interest book. So I think if we could, put $30 in, the city give us, 10 grand like they did last year. I think we'd be well on our way to being in the book business.
As I say, we have two of our city council representatives here tonight. And it's something I'll bring up to the council members at the next meeting on September 13th, I think it is.
And they've been noticeably quiet about this.
Because they're thinking of the other thing we're going to add to the flyer. They make great gifts.
There you go.
I was thinking too that there certainly would be a number of these that we would want to give away to certain people. Like I would think we'd like to see all of the schools have a copy in their libraries. And so I think we need to maybe we can get people to sponsor those books for the schools or work something out. But there would be a whole segment there that we wouldn't be doing a nickel for unless we program it to get something for them.
County library should get one or some.
Yeah.
Joe or Robin, do you remember the publisher that we had selected? Was it Reedy Press?
I don't remember, Mr. Hammond. I'm going to have to kind of dig back into Kathy Arnett's research, and then ultimately, I think she prepared a memorandum that was presented to the commission on this matter.
That's what I was trying to find, going through old emails and agendas and whatnot. And I'm unable to find too much, but I don't think I think that's just my searching capabilities.
Well, hopefully we'll be more successful. And as soon as I find it, we'll put an effort to it tomorrow and get it to you so you can have it over the weekend. And as I say, we'll do our best to find a solution to the cost issue. But again, I actually think there's enough people in Wildwood that they'll pay $50 for it.
Yeah.
I think Miss Von Gruben will probably buy half of them.
Her Christmas shopping will be complete.
For a long, long time.
When do we need to do any official motion on any of this, Joe?
No, it's just, again, that's just one role you'll have in the history tent as part of Celebrate Wildwood.
But last time, what was that, 19? We also had a picture of the Essen log cabin, and we had a donation jug, and we got quite a bit of money that day to go towards the reconstruction of the log cabin. Are we going to continue that? I know I've heard several people comment, so where do we stand with the log cabin? I said, well, it's coming, but it's slow. And they said, well, I gave money in that container you had at the celebration, and how did we stand? Did we do well on that? And I said, well, we did get a nice amount, and it's so I'm correct in saying to them, it's in a kitty to go towards that, correct, Joe?
Yes, ma'am. We set aside what I call an escrow account. And certainly we could do the proverbial thermometer or whatever that gauge is and show that, the reconstruction of the Essen log cabin is estimated at $150,000. And we've collected to date this amount.
Well, that would be nice.
So we can certainly do something like that if you'd like.
And have,
I love that idea, but what I was going to ask, is there any piece of the cabin that could be at the booth? Is there a small piece of wood that could be at the booth, or something that might be of interest to go along with that? Just say, hey, here's an actual piece of it, just so you can see it.
Certainly, some of the window framing is small enough that it could easily fit on one of our tables.
good. That would be a
Great.
drawing card to get people in to
And of
look
course,
at it and say it does really exist. And then other things that we had mentioned were the mini replicas of the 11 historical markers, and then the banners of the markers. Those will all be there again. Can anyone think of anything else that we need to have in our section of the tent? The tent will
Sounds
be
good.
full.
One of the items that Ms. Keefe and I prepared as part of that list is this would be an opportune time to start talking about Route 66 Roadside Park,
Yes.
and maybe get some information out to people that come into the history tent, and just very formally or excuse me, informally or formally, we could ask them what they'd like to see there.
Good idea.
Could we do a little promotion about Route 66? And I mean, maybe even, I remember at Big Chief, we were at the Big Chief event. I don't remember what that event was, but
Loud.
yeah, well, that too. The Route 66 Association or whatever their group was there. I'm not suggesting that they're at Celebrate Wildwood, but could we get some of their materials or magazine or two? Just, I think, I feel like we don't play that up enough, and maybe that's another good thing to focus on. Now, I think we're also starting to get a lot of stuff there if we've got the book and the cabin and stuff about the park, but maybe there's something we could have there, even if it's a sign or something along the lines Route 66-ish.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think it'd be a good idea. Ask them if they've got a handout they'd like us to give out for them, or if they have a display they'd like us to put up for them.
Well, we'd have to be careful about a display. We're going to run out of space pretty soon,
Well,
and I can see them coming with a lot.
and you're going to open up Pandora's box.
Yeah, something limited.
Right. But especially things that we can pass out to people about Route 66.
Yeah, but I think that's a discussion point for collecting information, talking about, hey, we've got a park. Here's where it's going to go. We're going through a process now. What would you like to see there?
Could we get a color rendering of something that they've already put together, printed out and mounted on the board for that park? That they had online when we had the interviews and those discussions.
We could certainly put something together that represents the location of the park, and maybe something along those lines. I don't know. I would be hesitant to use anything that was a particular firm's presentation materials, particularly ones that obviously weren't chosen to participate in the interviews, and then thereafter, those that were not selected as the primary contractor. But let us think about it, and we can certainly send something out to you in terms of what we have, in terms of a thought or even an image of it. How's that?
That'd be great.
Yeah, because I think, well, I mean, we use SWT is one of their color renderings that they had in their presentation. From a aerial view of the park, you can see here's where it is, and there's a bunch of trees there, which there isn't there now, so.
Well, I can certainly call Bonnie Roy or Scott Rundy and see if they would be objectionable to it. So we'll investigate that for the commission.
And this isn't really for the history tent, but is there a way to put up a sign on the property, the future home of the park, so that people could drive by and go, oh, that's where it's going to be? I don't know. I might be out of line.
We typically don't do that. Temporary
Okay.
signs are kind of frowned upon in general. And so I would probably suggest, I would wait to make any announcement until we've engaged those neighbors in the vicinity of the park property. I wouldn't want them to think that it's a fait accompli, so to speak.
Okay.
The other question I have regarding Celebrate Wildwood event is, do you all want to participate in the parade?
Is the trailer available for us to ride on? I don't think too many of us are going to be willing to, especially if it's a day like today, to be walking it.
I prefer to understand your interest, and then I'll reach out to Mr. Kelp or whoever it might be that would want to assist us in this regard.
Well, we have to decorate it
Yes,
and identify it
Yes.
as a historical commission. That might be biting off a little too much at this date.
well, again, I didn't want to go without asking, and certainly the parade, there's space available. But yes, it would be nice to have something that would be decorated and would identify who you all are. Maybe it's something we can consider for next year.
Will there be a sign-up sheet for us to sign up as to? Since we're not gonna have a meeting before then, will you be, Joe, will you be circulating a sign-up sheet for us to sign up to work there?
Yes, sir. As we did, I think 2 years ago, we'll send you a sign-up sheet with different 2-hour increments. As you know, in 2019, it was August, so it was pretty hot out. We didn't want to keep you out there too long. And so we can do the same this time. We prefer to always have a minimum of 2 people.
Right.
So that's how the schedule will be set up in 2-hour increments with a minimum of 2 slots.
Will there be parking available for people who come in the middle of the day to work in the tent?
Yes, we'll have some reserved parking here at City Hall. And if what I believe will follow is in 2019, Mr. Garitano loved driving the golf cart. I think he was our taxi driver as well. So somebody will get you from the City Hall down to the city tent.
I'd just like to point out, Joe, that the end of September could be just as hot as August. So
Yes.
let's hope it's
appreciate
not.
that.
It's pedal
Well,
the
I've been
cause that
lighting-
weekend.
I've been lighting candles at church for weather, so we'll see.
The way it is, it may be snow.
One never knows.
Only gonna make it,
I will take the snow.
Joe, that's only gonna make it warmer.
Yeah.
Yes, I was thinking that.
Well, we'll see on September 25th.
The points of interest map. There's a lot of information on that thing.
Ms. Stevens, what agenda item are you on?
I don't know.
I think she's actually still talking. So in
I'm still
the
talking Celebrate Wildwood.
so in the Celebrate Wildwood memo, points of interest map is on that.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's just to distribute it. We have the actual discussion of the additions a little later in the agenda. So my
Okay.
apologies. I misunderstood.
I was thinking,
Well,
it seems like that came up someplace else too.
But we'll have sheets of those maps that people can pick up, I presume.
Yeah, the bug. Okay, is there anything else that we need to deal with on Celebrate Wildwood at this point? Okay, we'll get back to that later. 3 items in old business. The Missouri Centennial Celebration time capsule. Yay! We thank you, Robin. You did a tremendous amount of work on that.
It was beautiful. It was great. Good job. And we got a certificate suitable for training.
I have that certificate right here this evening.
Very good.
I believe Mr. Cross is enthusiastic about finding a spot
Yes.
for it here at City Hall.
Well, I think it's something to be proud of, and it's too bad that people can't really see everything that we did to earn that certificate. But it
They
was a lot of
can.
work.
It's just going to be a while till they can.
Well, I don't know if I'll be around then.
The department just wants to thank all of you for the time and creativity you put into this project. Our special meeting in July. It's very exciting. I think Wildwood had a nice contribution to share for this. So thank you.
Seems like I read something about possibly legacies was mentioned. Are we going to pursue to submit a article for the legacies? I know we have until sometime in December for that to go in. I saw it listed someplace on something. That is a different project than the time capsule.
I think I might have mentioned it in some of the background information on the memo for the time capsule.
Okay.
But largely that was just the lead up to
Okay.
congratulations. We are in the time capsule. It's been
Yes.
delivered and we have a certificate.
And I like the way you tracked it to make sure it was there at the right time. That was good thinking. Moving on to the work program, the update on that. And that came as a separate email. It wasn't in the packet if you picked up your packet.
So Ms. Stevens, if you, with your permission, I'll go through this fairly quickly.
Yes.
First and foremost, the item relating to Old Pond School and the necessary maintenance it needs. The department has received 2 bids. Both bids far exceed what was budgeted at the start of this year, 2021. A third bid is being obtained by Gary Cruz, our superintendent of Parks and Recreation. And the city council will be asked to increase the amount of funding in the capital improvements program for this particular line item so that we can actually do the work this year. The 2 bidders that have provided proposals both noted that the work needs to proceed sooner than later. So hopefully at our September meeting or no later than October, we'll have the bids for you to consider. A couple of items that are highlighted in the work program are also agenda items tonight relating to the points of interest map and the incorporation chapter. So I will leave those to later. We also did talk about the Route 66 Roadside Park, so I won't delve into that anymore. And then also, we just finished discussing the time capsule. The last item I do want to identify from the work program specifically is that at this past Monday night city council meeting, the city council endorsed proceeding forward with the acceptance of the gift of the Yoast property. All of the due diligence has been completed, and that due diligence did indicate that there was a mold issue inside the existing dwelling. The remediation obviously was far less than the value of the cost of the remediation was far less than the value of the dwelling. And so city council concurred that it was not a contingency that would stop the acceptance of the gift. And we anticipate to have it done sometime around Labor Day. So that's proceeding forward and will be concluded here shortly. those are the highlights of the work program. If there are any questions, Robin and I'd be glad to try to answer them at this time.
I'd like to
Chris?
add, I think that's the most efficient approach to the work program we've had. Very well done, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to be able to check how something is completed. Okay, any other comments on the work program? Okay, the points of interest map discussion. It will be on a larger piece of paper. I hope. I had difficulty reading all the little print.
I guess I will go ahead and start, and then we'll move to the incorporation chapter afterwards, or do you want to tackle that first?
Doesn't matter, whichever one you want.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I offer a suggestion. We have a gentleman waiting on an item later in the agenda, and I suspect the points of interest map and the incorporation chapter may take a little time. So with the commission's permission and by motion and second with voice vote, could we go ahead and take up the issue relating to Babler Park Drive?
I will entertain a motion for this.
Move
I'll
that we
make a
discuss that at this time.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Scott and Chris. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor, wave your hands.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. It passes, so you can invite them in.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
obviously the property owner is intimate with what they'd like to achieve on this particular property and relative to the existing structure. But Ms. Keefe has put together, I think, a nice PowerPoint that maybe will,
good.
if we could first see that, I think it will put whatever the Department of Planning has to say in context, as well as the property owner. Thank you.
Are you able to see my screen, Joe? Or was
Yes.
I presenting?
We see 1045 Babler Park Drive with a picture.
Okay. So I believe maybe I am presenting tonight. Okay. So what you see here is 1045 Babler Park Drive. This project is being reviewed by both the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as the Board of Adjustment. That is what triggered the Historic Preservation Review. What they're looking to do is add a garage and bedroom addition to their single family dwelling, which is on our historic building inventory, and listed as circa 1915. This is the general location of the property. It is along Babler Park Drive, right at, you can see Pond Road here. Here's Highway 109. So that gives you an idea of where it is, and it's here. Here you can see the addition. The reason it is going to the Board of Adjustment is because it is in the 50-foot setback. That will be present once the property has gone in for a rezoning. Currently, it is zoned as Park and Scenic, and it's a non-conforming use in that district. So we would be, so in order to proceed, we'd be looking at potentially rezoning it to a non-urban residence district. But here you can see the addition. And this floor plan gives you an idea of where the existing building is in relation to the new addition. And then this here is a wraparound deck. They are also proposing to change the color of the house, as well as, as well as apply it to the addition. And so you can see that color here. And this would be what they would do for the chimney. Here is the front of the current single family dwelling on the property. And I also I also applied these elevations to my slide so you could get an idea of what the addition would look like in relation to the existing structure. So this is the front elevation down here. They would be adding this garage portion. And then the main part of the addition would be going in here. This is the right side elevation to the north. And again, I applied the elevations below here so you could compare to what's existing and what is being proposed. And this is the western elevation, so that would be from this perspective here. This is, I believe it's a view to the north along that northern side. And this is the rear of the existing structure. And this is the southern elevation. And again, you can see what's being proposed down here. This would extend onto the existing structure. And this would be your view from this north elevation. And then this just gives you a little bit more perspective of the rear yard and the southern elevation, which would be looking from this perspective right here, looking in that way.
I assume the idea is to replace that car shelter.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that would.
I assume that not over 75. That doesn't come under our purview, fortunately.
And that's all I have for you this evening as we move into question and answers with the applicant. And then, of course, the department is more than happy to answer your questions as well. Thank you.
What is the
Madam Chair.
siding? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just one last comment, Mr. Scott, so pardon my interruption. The role of the Historic Preservation Commission in this particular regard is to basically comment on the alteration that will obviously change the existing dwelling significantly. In the Historic Preservation and Restoration Code, the commission is given this authority. If your decision is not made within 60 days of the receipt of the request, the Department of Planning is obliged to proceed forward with the issuance of the permit, given that there is a rezoning that still has to be completed and a petition before the Board of Adjustment. Timeframe isn't as critical here. But the department would just note that the matter is before the commission tonight because of the significant nature of the change. Thank you.
what is the present siding of the house? And will that be kept or would that be replaced?
Mr. Scott, I think at this stage, I'd let the property owners answer that, and I think they're ready to go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, can.
Yes, currently we have a cedar siding. It's pretty old and solid. We plan on using that partially on the new addition, but along with and it's horizontal, along with some bead board that goes. What? Oh, but board and batten. Sorry, not bead board. My name's Dave Spitznagel. I own it along with Beth, my girlfriend. Sorry, I should have introduced myself first, but Beth is a designer, so I'll let her talk about the design stuff. So go ahead, Beth. Tell them what the.
Well, we're planning to keep the existing siding on the home as it is, just painting it. And to tie in for the frontal view, if you look at the plans of the renderings, the garage front part will also have the cedar siding on it, and it will all be painted the same color. And then as we go to the north view of the home, the side view from Babler Park Drive, we plan on doing siding there as well until you get to that back addition, which is our actual master bedroom. And there we would tie in the board and batten. So at the top where you see the vertical lines going, that would be board and batten in the pitches of that northern view there. And then it would just tie it into, the rest of the house. So the whole bedroom addition on the very back would be the board and batten.
I think that's a reasonable approach. I'm looking at that north elevation and seeing the board and batten. The roof's a little lower. It looks like a little addition that was put on with different types of siding. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, when we bought the house a year ago, we really didn't have any plans to do anything with it. We didn't know how solid it was, but it's a real solid building. The existing home is very solid. It just lacks some of the amenities that we need. It's got a single bathroom that's detached from the single bedroom up front. It was kind of pieced together over the years with additions. We believe that and Robin, you may know better, but we believe that the two-story piece of the house that you see there is the original part of the house from 1915-ish. And then the front porch, what is that called on the front?
Yeah.
The front porch was added later, and then there was a kitchen on the back and that bathroom that was added. The bathroom will be gone, and there'll be 2 new bathrooms in the addition. But it's a solid building, and we don't want to get rid of it. We want to make it look better and original as we can. So we're trying to stay true to it.
So looking at this, I feel it's a very very good adaptation, and glad to see you saving the original part. And I drive by your house quite often, and I've admired it. And nice piece of property. I didn't know the property was so oddly shaped, but
Yeah, it is weird.
but,
It's 6 acres, in a row. It's all real long and goes back into the park.
but I looked at your place every time I go by it on the trail.
You're all welcome to come by and knock on the door. I'll give you a tour. It's the back part of the property is strikingly beautiful. We have a creek run right through the middle, and then a hill on what we call the back 40, which is like the last 3 acres back in the park. It's really pretty. We were really fortunate to find it.
are we to take action on this tonight, or what's our charge here?
With Ms. Stevens' permission, Mr. Scott, if there are no other questions from the commission members, I'll stop and let Mr. Rubus.
Yeah, is it your intention is to inhabit the house?
Yes.
And again, if there are no other questions, the department would respectfully request authorization from the commission to proceed at the appropriate time to issue the permit for the new addition and the change in the character.
Is there a motion?
I would make the motion.
I'll second it.
Second it.
Oh, go ahead. I've too much.
Jim will have the second. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, we're ready for the vote. Say yes if you're in favor. Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you
definitely
very much.
buying one of your books now.
You've got some other people to go through. We're easy.
No, I know, but you guys are okay in my book.
Well, thank you. We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
that.
Is that it, Robin?
That is all. Congratulations.
Thank you guys very much. We'll let you finish your meeting and we'll drop off. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Good luck.
Good evening. Thank you.
Okay, I think we are back at the points of interest map.
Can I make a point that it does not appear that the points of interest map or the chapter work in the agenda, in the emailed agenda, or if you go online, the links inside of the agenda to those two items don't work. Is there any way to get those?
Yes, I can definitely deliver those PDFs to you via email. Did anyone else have trouble bringing them up on the online agenda?
Yeah, I couldn't bring them up, but I have the packet that I picked up.
Yeah, I would assume anyone who didn't get the packet probably can't access them. It takes you basically to the website, but it's to a file, a bad link. So
Right.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
if I may, if the members of the commission haven't had the opportunity to review the text, then I would suggest that we would postpone. I
That
think
sounds like a good idea.
it's critical that you'd at least have an opportunity
Right.
to read it. And
can we, so I agree from a chapter perspective. The points of interest one, I'm really anxious because I would love assuming that we could get it done by the Celebrate Wildwood event, I think it's a great time to distribute it. Is it something that one of you could just pull up and we could share and we can go through that? The text for the chapter absolutely would be far too much for that.
that's fine. Again, I'll defer to the commission. I think the incorporation chapter probably should be postponed regardless. But if you all, if we can get you a copy of the points of interest text, we could certainly knock it out tonight if you'd like.
Why don't we go that route? So is there something you can put up, Robin?
Yes, I'm going to bring it up, but I'm also going to email very quickly a PDF so that you can follow along yourselves as well.
Thank you. Sorry, if I had been more upfront, I would have found this before the meeting and let you know.
Well, I apologize that those links are not working. All right. Here we go.
Mr. Hammond, regardless, thanks for letting us know, because we would have plunged into it and got you, and that would not have been obviously fair to all of you.
I am almost there. Just one moment. Okay.
And oh, by the way, while we're waiting, thanks for amending the agenda to accommodate the change for the property owners. That was kind of you to do.
Okay, everyone. So I just emailed out the scenic road descriptions. So you should be receiving that shortly if you haven't already. But what I'm bringing up first before I go into the written portions is just the 2000, I assume this is 20 points of interest map to just to give you an idea of what it looks like and what we're trying to do this year. So last year, we tackled scenic roads that were largely around Babler State Park. In the northwestern quadrant of Wildwood. This year, we're focused on the northeastern quadrant, so over here. And so the front of the points of interest map has a map with all of Wildwood's landmarks. And on the back, we had the written scenic road descriptions. Okay. I'm not sure how you would like to do this evening. If we want to read this aloud and go through every line, or how would members like to proceed with this?
So I will now say that I see what you're sharing. There's a lot of text here. So
There is quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's all very interesting when you're reading it.
Absolutely. I think I love this type of stuff. And I think that's why I think it's important for us to try to get it to the point where we can use it or do something with it, hopefully by Celebrate Wildwood. So I would not be opposed to us taking this discussion offline if necessary, if we can do it digitally in terms of, hey, we all provide feedback and get it back to the city in terms of here's what we think, if there are changes or adjustments, just so that we're not spending the next couple of hours going text word by word. That being said, if we want to, I'm all for sitting around and going through this.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
could I offer an option?
Yes, please.
So we'll ensure that by the beginning of tomorrow, you all have a copy of this, and including the members not in attendance tonight. And what I would offer is if you could review it and provide comments by, let's say, Tuesday of next week, then we could potentially hold a Zoom meeting on Thursday or Friday and make sure that all of the changes are agreeable to the members, and then have it available for hopefully for our graphics person and the publisher right after Labor Day, which would give them about 3 weeks.
That sounds very good. I know included in this was approval to insert the other 2 historic markers that are not our community markers. So if we would act on that, then you would have the go-ahead to go ahead and include those in it as well. Would you want to do that tonight, or would you want to wait until we would have a Zoom meeting next week? So maybe some others could be in the meeting.
I would prefer to wait, given that, again, we're at 4 members per se.
We're skeleton crew.
Yeah. But I mean, again, to the commission members, I am asking, Robin and I are asking you to do a little homework over tomorrow, the weekend, and on Monday. But if we could have those comments back by Tuesday at noon, then we can incorporate them, get them back out hopefully in a day, Wednesday, and then try to schedule something on Thursday or Friday at the latest.
Sounds good. Do we need to take action on that, or just have a unanimous consent?
I would think unanimous consent after all questions are posed and we hopefully have answers.
Okay, Jim?
The 2 markers that Mr. Ottenberg had suggested that we include, they are pretty far away from the area of the points of interest map. Is that not correct?
Mr. Rivas, I was thinking I apologize. Did I interrupt someone?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry, that was me. I'll come
No,
back.
please. I prefer to hear you than me.
Well, so my understanding of these, are they both the cycling club markers? There's a picture of the pond one and the Okay, so they're both the cycling club markers. I think Jim's question is they're not. If I heard you correctly, Jim, they're not related to the scenic byways or the roads of that particular area, which I agree. But I selfishly, I think these are great markers and they are something that should be on the points of interest map. So I'm all for adding these. And they would be, if I'm envisioning this correctly, and I'm trying to get to the document that was just out there. They would just be a circle with a marker or something along those lines, which says, I don't know what the wording would be. Is there a proposal around what that wording would be, Jim or Robin? Sorry. I'm sorry, Joe or Robin.
I don't believe we have a proposal for the wording right at this time. We were just generally determining whether the commission supported having these markers on the map.
Okay. I think they're great markers. They're great markers inside of our city that have become more prominent in the cycling community around. So I forget how many there are. There's either 4 or 5 of these around the St. Louis area and even one out, I want to say out somewhere in St. Charles. So I think in the past 5-10 years, they've become more prominent. I think they were just missed in terms of previous iterations of the points of interest map.
And if I might add, the points of interest map includes the entire city. It's not just that one little section that we're highlighting this year. So it really doesn't matter that they're not in that little area because they would be on the total map.
I
Am I
was
correct?
just considering the verbiage, the points of interest map, at least from what I have here. And I guess I have this because I picked up a packet.
Right.
Where they go in there and explain the write-up. We wouldn't necessarily have a write-up. It would just be a picture or indication on the full map.
I would propose it'd be a picture, an indication on the full map, and a number. One of the, like 16 Anniversary Park. It would just be a number and then a word or a string of text of cycling club marker 1923 or whatever the case may be. Maybe without any more, maybe not much more description to it.
In the key of the number that's on the map, the location of it.
Correct. Sorry, the key. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and to that point, they might just be a number on the map, like all the other the numbers in the key items below, not with a circle, like the call outs to the far left, right where 100 exits the map. There's a call out for, I'm assuming that's the Fox Creek Historic Community. So they wouldn't necessarily get that type of a presentation. They would just have a number on the map of, let's say, I don't even know what the last number is. 44 looks to be the last number, Wild Horse Creek Road. Yeah. And maybe the new roads that we're adding, Orville, Strecker, Clayton, whatever highlights are in the text, those each have their own number. And then these 2 items would have 2 additional numbers.
I agree.
So I'm in agreement that trying to have us all review it, plus the rest of the commission who's not in attendance, try to get everyone to review it, have a meeting next week. Selfishly, if we could do it Thursday, it'd be much better for me than Friday. But if we could go through and do that, I'd be all for trying to get it included and updated so that whatever needs to be done from a graphics perspective and a production perspective to get it out by the 25th of September.
So Ms. Stevens, if I may.
Yes.
So I think the suggestion is that we identify on the map the 2 locations of the bicycle markers and that we put placeholders in the description side of the document. and then just give a general identifier. And then next year, we can actually add the text at the discretion of the commission after it's been developed and reviewed by the members.
Sounds good, yes.
And regarding the meeting next week, the city council voted at the start of this year that the last week of each of the summer months, June, July, and August, are no meeting weeks. And so, not to disregard the city council, I would like to suggest that this meeting on Thursday, which is what we'll shoot for, if we could do it either late afternoon so that we don't have a night meeting.
Okay, is there a time that would work best for, I don't know each person's work schedules of those who are working, that they would be able to be in with us, and we want as many as possible. So do we go at the dinner hour, Robin?
I just want to note that we do have a community garden, Wildwood Farms garden manager meeting Thursday afternoon at 4:30.
Well, we may have to, so to speak, split the baby here and have some of the staff at the garden meeting and other staff at this.
Okay.
So again, would 4 o'clock, 4:30, or 5? I'd hate to go beyond 5 for the start time, because again, I don't want to disrespect the city council's action, and I've been already told that we can't have any meetings by the city administrator when I was proposing one earlier today.
I would encourage the rest of the commission to do as much of the legwork and reading and whatnot before the meeting. And if we can have it anytime between 3:30 and 5, let's be focused and get through it in 30 minutes or less.
I'm free anytime in Thursday afternoon to evening.
All right, we'll pick the best time and then we'll
Okay.
send it on out. Thank you so much. And my apologies regarding the links, but I think we have a good solution and we'll get there we'll get to the end where we need to be.
Exactly. And I might also add that I know even before I was put in the position of being chair for the rest of the year, I've made a point of getting the packets ahead of time by stopping by City Hall. And it really would be helpful if everyone could get the packets with time to go through them and have an idea of what's on our plate, instead of having it just by email, which is oftentimes kind of difficult to deal with everything on the computer. So just, a little homework, as Joe had mentioned, ahead of time, that kind of gets us a little more productive.
And to the commission, remember, Ms. Stevens started the meeting saying school's back in session.
It is.
Homework should not be a shock to any of you.
Now, is it going to be our intent? Do you, before this meeting next Thursday, want our comments on the text on this? Or do you want it at that time? Should we circulate our comments before then?
The department would respectfully request that we have all the comments no later than noon on Tuesday, which would be the 31st. We'll incorporate them so you can track changes, and then we'll get them on out to you. We may hand deliver them by vehicle so you have them, and we avoid the risk of a link not working.
Right.
So we'll figure out something, but your charge is to have everything to us by noon on Tuesday.
Yes.
Very good.
Homework due noon Tuesday.
That sounds like a teacher.
Oh, no, never. I just lost my agenda. It's here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, let's see. So we've history book is settled for now, correct, Joe?
Yes, ma'am. So we're on to the 2 demolition requests.
Right. Okay, what one am I looking at? That's points of interest. Here we go. The first one I have in front of me is the one on Manchester Road. And since I wasn't able to be at the site visit, I'm open to hear about things.
All right. I'll go ahead and present this to you. So in your packets tonight, you should have received a draft demolition letter that we can extend to the property owner should you vote to approve it. But first, I'm just going to walk you through each of these site visits that we did at these individual properties, starting with 16844 Manchester Road. And this property is pretty much directly across the street from Larry's Tavern, to give you a point of reference. We received a demolition request for the single family dwelling here, as well as the accessory structure. The accessory structure is not under our purview tonight, as it was built in 1977. However, the main dwelling on property was built in 1933, which gave it some interest to us. It is a 768 square foot cottage. The owner, Mr. Jerry Bruce, met with us. Here you can see the northeast corner of the home. And this is the eastern elevation looking west. This is the southeast corner of the home. And this is the rear or south elevation. This is the western elevation looking to the north. And that same side. And then this was the accessory structure on property that will also be demolished. Going into the home, this is the kitchen area. It had not been lived in for a while. This is office area. This front door was noticed as something that could potentially be salvageable. I believe this is in the kitchen. However, I'm not completely sure. This is a picture of the attic. And nobody wanted to go into the basement. I believe at the end of our meeting, the primary recommendation that surfaced was to refer the owner to Habitat for Humanity and their restore locations to potentially salvage or recycle the material in the home. So staff found the contact information, including information on their deconstruction program, where they'll actually go out to the home and inventory it and bring a team of volunteers out there to salvage what can be salvaged. So with that, that's the end of that presentation. Would you like to move to approve or add any further recommendations to the demolition letter that we will send out to the owner?
Just a question, was the door to possibly be for the restore Habitat for Humanity facility, or was that for city purpose?
I believe the thought was just that it's a nice door and it could
Okay.
be.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I think our feeling was the building itself was of little value, but some of the interior doors, other than the front door, were could be of value to millwork. Or then we talked about the deconstruction firms. Now I have one. This is the firm that did that house on Wildhorse Creek Road that went in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Refab. And I like them listed here too. They're located on Gravelly. I could scan this business card and email it to you, Joe, if I may.
If you would, please, because we'll add another option.
Yeah.
I think it's best to have a couple of options so that
Yeah.
the property owner has a choice.
Because some
Thank
of these
you.
people, it depends on what their market is, what their stock is. They may be full of doors and not want it anymore. I will, I'll scan this card and send it to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion. Jim,
I'll make a motion to approve the demolition.
second.
I'll
Chris,
second.
I would,
all those in favor? Waving at
Aye.
each other. Aye.
I,
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Hey, Robin,
that-
for Lindy Lane.
Okay, moving forward to our next visit. We went to 2531 Lindy Lane. And here, this is a demolition request for the single family dwelling on site that you see before you, built circa 1940. And what's really special about it is the Ozark stone construction, which is unique to Wildwood and very beautiful. Also meeting us at the property were the owners, Jeff and Pam Melvin. At the same time as this demolition request, they are also seeking a rezoning for the property. They are rezoning from non-urban residence district to R3 10,000 square foot residence district. And that is currently under review by City Council after favorable action by the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is an 810 square foot dwelling. And there's a view of it from the street to give you a little context of the homes around it. And this is a southeastern corner of the home. And this is the rear of the dwelling looking east. This is the northwestern corner where the carport exists. And this is the side of it looking north. Again, this is the rear of the home. And this is looking to the south. And this part is where the owners attempted to pry some of this stone off of the building with no success. We did go inside the residence, though we were warned in advance there was a black mold problem associated with there being several feet of water in the basement. But this is the kitchen. Some brave souls went in there with their cameras. Here are some rooms in the home. And what we found special in the home was in the front living room, and that was this interesting looking fireplace. Ultimately, I'll just stop sharing. Ultimately, the recommendations associated with this structure was that Yes, we approved the demolition, and this, again, this is just the general conversation that occurred at the site visit. But that we would like to see a partnership with the city in regards to salvaging some of that stone. The owners indicated that they would like to use some of it themselves for a patio and walkway. But that there would be plenty of it left over. And they seemed interested in partnering with the city and donating some of it to City of Wildwood. So that is certainly something we'd like to pursue if they're still interested.
Any questions or comments?
So, I really hate to, I mean, I don't see what you can do with this house. It's pretty much unlivable, the size of it and the arrangement of it. But I really hate to see this genre of housing being torn down because it's such a Ozark tradition. And there's so many, there were many of these houses with this giraffe stone on them. And I just hate to see them go, but I just don't see what else you could do with this. Except maybe make that whole house into an entry hall and build a big house around the back and just keep the front wall. But I'm going.
That, Madam Chairman, I move for demolition.
Is there a second? Jim seconds. All those in favor?
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
1 second, if I
Yes.
may. Again, we'll add the second company that Mr. Scott has identified to our list on this letter as well. And as we work through the partnership with the property owner, Robin and I will keep you up to date on what
Good.
we're doing and how successful we are at finding solutions to remove the stone, preserve it. And our hope is to use it maybe over in Village Green or with the Essen log cabin reconstruction.
That would be nice. Now, that stone is really special, and you really want to be able to have it somewhere. Since this is the only structure in the city that has it, we don't want to lose it completely. Okay. Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Demolition, sadly. But as Steve said, I don't know how you could inhabit it, so you
Yeah.
do what you have to do. Any other matters to come before us tonight? You've mentioned a September commission meeting. Are we going to have one, Joe? In the past, we've not had it right before the celebration weekend.
As you know, our meetings are the last Thursday of the month. In September, that meeting would be just a day before or the night before we begin the setup on Friday and then the event on Saturday.
The staff can only do so much.
So if there would be no objection, I believe the department would respectfully request that we cancel the September meeting and we hold it, so to speak, in the city tent on Saturday, September 25th.
Amen.
Sounds good. So therefore, our next meeting would be October the 28th. So remember your homework due Tuesday noon, and then we can work real hard to get packets out to everyone before the October meeting so that you can be prepared for the evening. And we just thank both Robin and Joe for all the many hours they put in to get us to be successful. And it's very important. And you just don't know how we appreciate you. We just want to let you know. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Jim has a motion, seconded by Alan. All those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
aye. Very good. Thank you all. It's been a full agenda, and there'll be lots more coming up. We have a lot of things that are not quite ready for action, but keep them on your plate so that you can be ready to discuss them when they do come up.
The
So,
next time we see anybody in person will be at the Celebrate Wildwood.
right, right.
I guess everybody has their blue shirt. I've got mine on.
What about the new people? Have they been approached about shirts?
We're actually working on shirts, so there'll be more to follow shortly.
Okay, very good. So it sounds like the emails will be busy for a while.
25 plus one shirts.
That's a good one. So thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate all your work.
See you all next
Thank
week.
you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good
Have a
night.
nice weekend.